What if the reflection you see in the mirror is a stolen identity? What if the praise you receive is for a voice that isn't yours? The time, present day, the place, the cutthroat literary world of New York City. At the event, the theft of a masterpiece. The narrator, Khalid from Voxnovella. Okay guys, tonight we explore a nightmare masked as a dream. Trust me, you probably won't survive this mentally at least. Before we start, if you love deep mysteries, subscribe and join the circle. Now, let's dive in. It all started with a manuscript that should have been burned, a silent testament to a dead friend's genius. Our so-called author found it tucked away, a forgotten masterpiece pulsating with a life its creator would never see. Can you imagine the audacity? To look at perfection, untouched and pure, and think, mine. She told herself it was a tribute, a way to keep her friend's legacy alive. But let's be real, it was a shortcut, a desperate grab at a fame she could never earn. Every word she would later claim was a nail in her own coffin, a lie that would unravel thread by thread. She saw a golden ticket, not the ghost of the friend she betrayed. Thought she was inheriting a story, but what she really inherited was a curse, a ticking time bomb of stolen words and haunting truths. The literary world was about to fall in love with a phantom, and she, the puppeteer, was about to learn that some strings should never be pulled. The applause would be deafening, but so would the silence of the truth. She stood in front of the mirror, but the face staring back wasn't hers. It was the face of a celebrated author, a literary prodigy, a liar. The world was fawning over a ghost, and she was the one wearing the mask. Can you even imagine the nerve? It's like stealing a Michelin star recipe and calling yourself a chef. Every interview was a carefully rehearsed performance. Every smile a strategic move in a game she was destined to lose. She'd talk about her inspiration, her process, all while the real author's voice screamed in her head. It was a constant haunting echo, a reminder that her success was built on a foundation of deceit. She was living in a beautiful house of cards, and the wind was starting to pick up. You see, she thought the theft was the hard part. Oh, you sweet summer child. The real challenge wasn't stealing the story. It was surviving it. She was so busy polishing her stolen crown that she never noticed the cracks forming in her kingdom. The world saw a genius, but all she saw was a fraud, a reflection of a crime she committed in the name of ambition. She believed she had committed the perfect crime, but she was about to learn that a secret this big never stays a secret for long. It was only a matter of time before someone noticed the face in the mirror wasn't hers at all. The dedication page. You know, that one little page at the beginning of a book that most people skip? Yeah, that one. For a rising star, it became a minefield. What do you do when you've stolen a dead woman's soul? Do you dedicate the spoils back to her? It's a twisted kind of tribute, isn't it? It's like a bank robber sending a thank you card to the vault they just emptied. She actually toyed with the idea, living in this sick, self-serving fantasy where her grand theft could be spun as a noble, selfless act. To the friend who gave me everything, she imagined writing, probably with a tear in her eye. The irony was so thick you could choke on it. Our girl, high on her own supply of unearned praise and 5-star reviews, got cocky. She decided against dedicating the book to its rightful author. Too risky. Too on the nose. It might invite questions she couldn't answer. Chose something cryptic, a little inside joke with herself. A single, seemingly innocent line that only she would understand. A quiet, arrogant nod to her grand deception, or so she believed. What she failed to comprehend, in her dazzling new spotlight, is that secrets are never just for one. She thought she was burying a tribute, but what she was really doing was planting a seed of doubt that would slowly grow into a monstrous tree of suspicion, right there on the first page for the whole world to see. She was so proud of her clever little secret, her hidden message in plain sight. But she forgot one tiny, crucial detail. She wasn't the only one who knew what that phrase really meant. The book launch. The moment every author dreams of. The flashing cameras, the clinking champagne glasses, the adoring fans. For our leading lady, this was supposed to be the ultimate validation, the grand coronation she had so desperately craved. But as she stood there, basking in the glow of a success she hadn't earned, she wasn't looking for admirers. She was scanning the room for assassins. Every smile seemed to hide a sneer. Every congratulation felt like an accusation. She was the guest of honor at a party thrown for a ghost, and that's when she saw him. Tucked away in a corner, far from the literary schmoozing, stood a man who was utterly out of place. He wasn't holding a book. He wasn't sipping champagne. He was just watching her. There was no admiration in his eyes, no recognition, just a quiet, unnerving intensity. It was the kind of look that says, "I know what you did." For a second, her heart stopped. Was he a ghost from her friend's past? Forgotten relative? A journalist who'd sniffed out the truth? She tried to shake it off, to force a smile and turn back to her adoring public. But the image of his unwavering gaze was burned into her mind. When she glanced back, he was gone, vanished into the crowd as if he were never there. She tried to tell herself it was just paranoia, a symptom of her grand deception. But as the night wore on, a chilling thought began to take root. She had meticulously planned every detail of her literary heist, but she had overlooked one crucial element. She never stopped to consider who else might show up to the party. You know that feeling when you're riding high, when you think you've actually gotten away with it? That's where our girl was. The book launch was a blur of champagne and fake smiles, and the mysterious man in the corner, she'd written him off as a figment of a guilty conscience. She was a bestseller, a critical darling. She was untouchable. And then it happened. A single, misplaced letter that would unravel everything. She was preparing for a radio interview, flipping through her the book to pick a passage. It was then she saw it, a typo. A stupid, simple typo an intern should have caught. The word sometimes was spelled semitimes. Annoying, right? But here's the kicker, and you're going to love this. That wasn't just any typo. That was her dead friend's signature mistake. A dumb, persistent error she'd been teased about since college. It was a digital fingerprint, a ghost in the machine. Can you feel that? That cold dread. Our brilliant author, so meticulous in her theft, had committed the dumbest mistake of all. She'd forgotten to run a spell check. She'd copy-pasted a soul, but left in its most human flaw. In that moment, the book transformed. It was no longer a trophy, it was a confession. Every single copy, sitting on shelves and nightstands around the world, contained a tiny, screaming accusation. She thought she had stolen a story, but what she had really published was the evidence of her crime, complete with the victim's signature. Just when she thought the typo was the worst of it, the universe decided to get creative. You have to appreciate the dramatic flair. An email lands in her inbox. No name, no sender, just a subject line that reads, "A little something to remember her by." Attached is a single audio file. Our girl's mind, of course, goes straight to blackmail. It's the man from the party, she thinks. Finally, the other shoe drops. She braces herself, pours a drink, and with a sense of grim relief hits play. But it's not his voice. It's not some angry relative or a smug journalist. It's a voice she knows better than anyone. It's her own. A recording from years ago, maybe from a late-night study session in their dorm. It's her laughing. And then she hears herself say, "You're a genius, you know that?" But this story, it's just not it. A bit too sentimental. Nobody will buy it. The words hang in the air, a phantom limb of her own toxic envy. She's not just listening to a conversation. She's listening to the origin story of her betrayal. She wasn't just a thief who saw an opportunity. She was a critic, a doubter, a false friend who had dismissed the very masterpiece she would later build her life on. The recording wasn't blackmail. It was a haunting. It was a receipt for her hypocrisy, delivered anonymously. The sound of her own voice, dripping with a casual cruelty she had long forgotten, was now the most damning evidence of all. She hadn't just stolen a book. Stolen a soul she never even thought was worth saving. So, you thought a ghost in a machine was scary? An old recording? Cute. Let's talk about a real ghost. One with a pulse. Our girl is spiraling, trying to convince herself that the audio file was a fluke, a last gasp from a forgotten hard drive. She's desperately clinging to the wreckage of her lie, telling herself she's still in control. But control, my friends, is an illusion she can no longer afford. A package arrives. No return address. Inside, there's no threatening letter, no blackmail demand. It's something far more terrifying. It's a single, dog-eared page, a scene. A beautifully written, heart-wrenching scene that no one in the world has ever read. Why? Because she cut it. It was from the original first draft, a piece of her friend's soul she deemed unworthy and deleted before even the editor had seen it. At the bottom of the page, a simple handwritten note. I liked this part better. It's him. It's the man from the launch, the witness. He didn't just know the author, he knew the story, the real story, in its purest form. He wasn't a ghost from the past. He was a gatekeeper, and he'd just shown her he has the key. This wasn't about a typo or a forgotten recording anymore. This was about a living, breathing person who had read the first draft. The game has changed. She's no longer haunted by a memory. She's being hunted by one. The question is no longer if the truth will come out, but who gets to tell it. The final page. It's not paper and ink. It's the look on her face when the truth finally cornered her in her own stolen story. He didn't expose her in a fiery article or a dramatic confrontation. No, his move was quieter, colder, and infinitely more poetic. He published the original manuscript online, for free. Under her friend's real name, he didn't need to add a single word of commentary. The book itself was the only statement that mattered, even included the part she'd cut, the piece of the soul she'd discarded, and dedicated it to the witness who read the first draft. The ultimate checkmate. Suddenly, her best-selling novel wasn't a masterpiece. It was a pale, flawed imitation. The public didn't just see a fraud. They saw a vandal who had spray-painted over a Da Vinci. The typo wasn't a clue anymore. It was a scar. The recording wasn't a ghost. It was a prophecy. Her name, once celebrated, became a footnote in the story of a genius she tried to erase. She wasn't hunted. She wasn't exposed. She was simply corrected. Made irrelevant by the very story she thought would make her immortal. She was left with nothing. But the silence, the echo of applause for a name that wasn't hers, and the chilling realization that she hadn't stolen a masterpiece. She had only revealed how desperately she lacked the talent to create one of her own. The final page wasn't in a book. It was the empty room she was left standing in.